Red Primordial Rimuru by H_ZZ 18. Discipline. The country of Lubelius. It was a safe haven for humans who live on the surface, and vampires who live below the ground. Both populations prospered and lived off each other secretly and discreetly under the careful watch of their god Luminous. Luminous. Roy. Roy. Yes, Lady Luminous. Luminous. Do we have any information on the people in that Demon Lord Council? Roy. We do have some records that allude to the members, that being Guy Crimson, Milim, and Ramiris. Luminous. Yes, I know Ramiris. She worked for Veldanaba. I recall Twilight telling me about her. She should be quite formidable, but I'm unsure of her strength. Roy. There had been records of 2 high human civilizations being decimated by a powerful spell of a red-headed demon who I believe is Guy Crimson, and his 2 demonic subordinates. Furthermore, Milim Nava may be the daughter of the true dragon Veldanaba who had been killed a few hundred years ago. Luminous. How accurate is this information? Roy. It dates back a few thousand years ago, but the descriptions are very close matches. Luminous. The Red Primordial. Roy remained silent. Being a superbly powerful individual himself, he still understood the power of the legendary Primordial who had risen to the rank of Demon Lord but had hoped that said demon was weaker than Luminous because she can use holy magic. Luminous. Roy. Roy. Yes, Lady Luminous. Luminous. It will be most beneficial to remain of amicable terms. I had thought them naive fools with bloated fantasies of being the strongest, but if it is as I recall, then I am certainly no match for them. Roy. But Lady Luminous, they don't seem to be very strong. Luminous. Fool. They were hiding some of their aura. I don't know to what extent, but I do know that if they have the backing of Guy Crimson and can talk to him freely as they did in the meeting, then attacking any of them will bring no fortune. It was a very odd situation. Luminous figured that Guy would be the obvious ringleader, but to allow others to debase him to such ridicule. That was something most powerful individuals would never allow. Though, in some cases, those who have lived long lives might let it be just for the sake of entertainment. Luminous. Don't tell me. Is he a masochist? Luminous whispers very quietly to herself. Roy. My lady. Luminous. It's nothing. As I said, Guy Crimson is an individual we cannot defeat, even with holy magic. This was the conclusion Luminous arrived at. The biggest indicator was the person recruited by Guy. Rimuru. Rimuru was the last to arrive and took every council member by surprise. She truly didn't know how strong each member was, but had an icky feeling that any rash antagonistic decisions would result in her immediate death. Roy. Then what should we do? Luminous. I have tried being a little bold to get information, and it seems most of the council are patient to some degree and can make good allies if things do turn for the worst with De Gruel, or even Veldora. Roy. Right. I shall notify you of anything else, my lady. Roy bows swiftly and departs. Luminous scoffs at the presence of so many powerful individuals. Guy's castle. Guy walks around his castle. It's good to check the quality of his own home every once in a while to make sure everything's in top order. After all, he had guests now, and it wouldn't be too good for his pride if something got pointed out by others. Woo, that was one hell of a meeting. It's annoying to manage everything by myself. My head keeps hurting nowadays for some reason. And what's worse, I kept getting neglected by Rain, who is my own subordinate. I'll need to take her to the training grounds for some discipline. Guy. Arg. What am I supposed to do now that I've introduced Rimuru from thin air? Ramiris. I've been wondering about that too. Guy stops. He was sure he was walking alone. But then again, his guests were out of the ordinary, but not beyond him. Guy. Wondering about what? Ramiris. I'm sure you know. After all, if there were existences like that, I'd probably be the first to know. Guy. You mean Rimuru? He's not all that special. I've been hosting him for a bit as my secret trump card, so it's natural you'd be in the dark. Ramiris. Is that so? To Guy, Ramiris seemed to have different personalities which leaked back and forth from time to time. However, that was enough to let his guard down because of his memories of Ramiris when she was an obnoxious pixie. However, this one seemed to be more calculating, but was at the very least, less obnoxious. Guy. He's got his own things to do as well, but you can meet with him if you'd like. Ramiris. I see. I'd like that. I also didn't know he was a boy. I can tell he's a good-looking one. I kind of thought that you and him were. Guy. What? Ramiris. Never mind. But I'd still prefer if you told us beforehand. Like you guys would do the same for me. Ramiris kept her eyes on Guy through the whole conversation. She seemed to be smiling, but at the same time her eyes looked a little cold, as if searching for something, probably for answers. Ramiris stares some more before walking away. Ramiris. By the way, one of your subordinates, Masora, wants to talk to you. Secluded meeting room. The room was spotless and sported red accents like every other room. However, the red stripes were more dominant and looked like lasers surrounding a cell. Guy commented that it wasn't an interrogation room, but Masora couldn't relax even with the comment. Masora is one of the 6 demonic generals, and was called to Guy's castle to help with the maid duties since her progenitor was slacking too often. She has been helping out in the castle since, and Rain repeatedly took credit for all the work Masora completed because she's a part of my lineage. Guy. You don't have to be so tense, you know. Masora. My lord, I apologize on behalf of my progenitor Rain-sama for the disrespect she displayed unto you. Demons normally couldn't sweat because they're a spiritual organism and don't tire physically. However, that didn't help Masora, who was in the presence of the strongest demon in the world, and needed to apologize to said demon. Masora prostrated as she spoke, and she pushed her head further down to the ground as to not upset Guy. Guy. I see. Masora gulped, and hoped that she herself will suffice as an apology, or at least appease Guy for the time being. Guy. Well, don't sweat it, I've already come up with the perfect torture for her, so it'll be fine. Masora. Of course. Thank you for your mercy, my lord. Guy. Please just call me Guy. Masora. Thank you for this privilege, I will continue to work my hardest for you, Guy-sama. Guy couldn't help snickering upon thinking of Rain's punishment. He stared at the door, watching Masora leave whilst muttering prayers and the subsequent delinquent Rain enter. Rain. So how was it with Masora? Did she admit everything? Well, anyways, I'll go now, Guy-sama. Guy. Hold it. Rain was just a second away from leaving. She walked a few steps and turned around as if everything resolved itself. Guy almost couldn't retort in that one-sided conversation. In response, Rain slowly rotated anti-clockwise until her annoyed face met Guy's. Rain. It's not over. Guy. No, in fact, you would not want to open that door. Rain. Why wouldn't I? Guy cracked an evil smirk. Rain shook a little and finally remembered who her master was. But, knowing Guy, she believed he couldn't be up to something extremely nefarious. Rain. Right? Guy. Then go ahead. Don't say I didn't warn you. Rain. I'm not falling for it, I'm not that dumb. Guy. You're actually funny for once. Hey, Milim. Come in. Milim. Wahaha. Hello, Uncle Guy. What's up? Guy. Oh, I just want you to tell me if you prefer me or Rain. Rain. She'll choose me obviously, Milim. I choose Uncle Guy, Uncle Guy's the best. Guy. Yes I know I am. Rain's mouth was agape in astonishment. Guy couldn't help but smirk towards her. Milim pushed herself against Guy, which incited a feeling of resentment and jealousy in Rain. Rain. Grr. Milim, be a good girl and step away from that good-for-nothing demon. Guy. Who, still haven't learned your lesson? What do you say, Milim? Milim. HMPH, I don't like Rain anymore. Rain froze and her eyes widened in absolute shock. Her favorite child, Milim, was rebelling against her adoptive mother. To be with a sleazy sleazeball of a red demon. Rain, in that moment, forgot her place. She clenched her fists and charged towards Guy. The one who responded wasn't Guy, but rather, Milim, who punched Rain away. Milim. Hey, how dare you try to attack Uncle Guy? Rain. How could you choose him over me? Guy. It's probably because you're too immature. I told you that you're not a good role model for her. Rain. TCH. Damn you, Guy. Give me back Milim-chan. Milim. Hey, I won't allow you to call me that anymore. Milim and Rain engaged in a heated fist duel. Rain repeatedly tried to talk Milim out of it, but Milim was persistent and increased her attacks, which started to overwhelm Rain. Guy sat down on a chair and watched the two fight with a smile on his face.